Hello and welcome to the Business Standard Morning Show. I'm Nazia Iqbal. It's the 19th of October 2023 and here are the questions we will be answering today. Can Aakash save Byju's? What does inclusion of cricket in the Olympics mean? How to play the auto theme this festive season? And what is a civil union? During its not-so-distant heyday, Byju's had acquired Chaudhary family-promoted Aakash Institute for close to $1 billion. It was a 70-30 cash stock deal. While the cash transfer was smooth, the stock swap deal has been hanging fire for the last 2 years. And now, Byju's has reportedly struck a deal with Aakash to resolve the impasse. In today's In Focus segment, Kasturi Akhil asks if Aakash, which remains one of Byju's most valuable assets, would bring an end to the edtech majors' woes.
End of the pandemic is offering a moment of reckoning for Byju's. Lockdown and online classes had catapulted the Byju Ravindran-owned startup into the world's most valuable edtech firm. But as the pandemic waned and students returned to classes, the ecosystem thriving on online classes started feeling the pressure. Byju's empire too started crumbling. But during its heyday, it took a decision which may help it tide over the current crisis. It acquired coaching giant Aakash Institute. Aakash, which prepares students for NEET and IIT entrance, has over 325 centers and serves more than 4 lakh students. But there was a glitch in the deal. Byju's had acquired Aakash for about $950 million, of which 70% was paid in cash and 30% was meant to be adjusted against equity of Byju's parent company, Think and Learn. But the stock deal got stuck. Promoters of Aakash rejected the equity share and demanded cash settlement instead, after Byju's ran into multiple problems which put its balance sheet under pressure. But now, the two parties have reportedly come to an agreement. Akash Chaudhary, the promoter of Aakash Educational Services, is reportedly returning as the CEO of the tutoring unit. It signals that the 2-year-old impasse between the two firms has been resolved. The transaction is expected to be finalized this month. Chaudhary's likely comeback has stoked speculations regarding the kind of potential implications it could have for Byju's and the educational ecosystem at large. Chaudhary family holds about 18% of the Aakash's shares. Under the fresh arrangement reported in a business daily, the family will hold around 8.5% in the tutoring unit and receive about 1 to 2% of Think and Learn shares at less than half of its previous $22 billion valuation. Think and Learn will hold around 51% shares of Aakash after the deal. Byju's is also planning an IPO for brick-and-mortar institute Aakash.
Now that the pandemic is gone, there is a world that has limited use or patience for someone like Byju's. People want classrooms, brick and mortar, teachers, interactions in person. In the second version, which is the version now, something like Aakash becomes far more valuable, which is the reason why Byju is said to be planning an IPO for Aakash, not for entire Byju's. It's trying to raise loans with Aakash and its assets as collateral. There seems to be a lot of interest in Aakash and a little less in Byju's, which is why I think going forward, Byju's will do well to make the best use of Aakash in whatever way it can.
Akash is just one aspect of what Byju's needs to regain its lost glory. If anything, there is a long way to go, and for it to regain its lost glory and its revenues, loss of revenues, etc. I don't think it is just going to be Akash or this deal which is purported. And let us be clear here, even the buyer of the Akash shareholding will knows that Byju's is in trouble. So they would ask for an arm and a leg before they sign any deal, because before a deal is concluded. So it's not an easy deal to close.
Post COVID, demand for offline education has picked up pace again, and this ownership exchange highlights the continuing strategic partnership between the two firms that could bring about a remodeling of teaching techniques through a more seamless integration of offline and online education. Experts agree that Byju's needs to refocus on its core offering, that is classroom teaching, and strengthening its alliance with Aakash might prove to be a big step in that direction. Now, what exactly does the EdTech unicorn's future hold? Only time will tell.
Very few know that Aakash founder J.C. Chaudhary, now in his 70s, harbored a lifelong fascination with numerology. He credited it for his success and went on to open a firm which offers nationwide numero services. Let's now see what is happening in the world of sports. Cricket is making a comeback in the Olympics after over a century. What does it mean for the game? Ayush Mishra finds out.
The recently concluded International Olympic Committee session in Mumbai officially sanctioned the reintroduction of cricket to the 2028 Los Angeles Games. This marked the sport's return to the Olympic stage. The IOC made its formal approval for cricket's inclusion in a press conference held on October 16th. Cricket was included in the 1900 Olympics in Paris, where only two teams representing Great Britain and France vied for medals. Despite its global popularity, the sport has not been a part of the Olympic program since then. Acknowledging the growing popularity of cricket worldwide, particularly the T20 format, the Olympic Committee proposed a 6-team T20 format for men and women in the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic Games. Welcoming the inclusion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also proposed that India is eager to host the Olympics in 2036.
Modern day cricket is nowhere to the traditional form. I mean, it's kind of shape-shifting at a very heavy pace. And going forward, from here, I would like to believe that the modern day game, which again, if you're looking at it from a T20 perspective, some are even looking at it from a T10 perspective and asking if future is actually T10. And as we continue to kind of, evolve and move further, I like to believe that lesser and lesser known nations that have not played cricket at the highest level so far will again kind of start coming closer to the game and start playing it more frequently.
The IOC aims to attract a significant and fresh Olympic audience, particularly among Asian cricket enthusiasts, by incorporating the sport. The Indian Premier League, with an estimated brand value of $8.4 billion, stands as one of the wealthiest sports leagues globally and attracts top players and coaches from around the world. The 2028 Olympic Games will adopt the same T20 format to attract audiences. However, organizing it within the ICC calendar can be a challenge.
As far as ICC calendar is concerned, till 2025, it is fully packed. You cannot have any kind of windows for any other tournament. It is completely jam-packed. So after 25, you have to keep a window like ICC, or for that matter, BCCI obviously started it for IPL. They kept that 55 days window, separate for the IPL. So in Olympics, if everybody wants to play, obviously there's 6 teams to start with initially, and one will be the host US team. So 5 other teams. So for that matter, BCCI or ICC or any other country which qualifies, they have to keep that space for, completely separate for the Olympics.
The ICC has proposed a 2-year process for the inclusion of cricket in the Olympic Games program for LA28. It is anticipated to attract an audience of over 3 billion viewers through TV and digital channels. This presents a distinctive opportunity for cricket to connect with new audiences by expanding the sport's global reach. Cricket's participation in the Commonwealth Games 2022 and the Asian Games 2022 has already boosted its worldwide appeal. However, selection of 6 teams in the Olympics can also be a challenge. The Board of Control of Cricket in India in the past has resisted signing the World Anti-Doping Agency or WADA clause, mainly the whereabouts clause, which requires players to disclose their location for random drug testing. The inclusion of cricket in the Olympics may put additional pressure on the BCCI to adhere to the international anti-doping standards.
Coming into the Olympics, then obviously you have to follow that. That means you have to feel each and every time, whenever you are going out, whatever you are doing, wherever you are placed, about your training schedule, so that there could be a surprise checking. So that means a big, I would say, change as far as the cricketers are concerned, and also a more transparency into their conduct. But whether or that happens, it all depends on how the Olympic Committee and the BCCI and also the host country, Los Angeles for that matter, when they sit together, they form the guidelines. That's how it becomes clear whether or not to what extent BCCI is ready to come into these things. But again, that is all speculative right now. But till now, India's position was very clear. They were not taking any aid from the Indian government, so they were not following the Indian sports code.
The inclusion of cricket in the 2028 Olympics can be a game changer for the sport. It will provide global recognition, increased investment, and offer a platform for emerging cricketing nations in the long run. It can also boost women's cricket, encouraging more investment and visibility for the women's game. However, the move is not without its share of challenges, which the ICC and other boards will need to find solutions for.
For cricket fans, Diwali will come a bit early if India lifts the World Cup. But for auto companies, it seems it's already a season of celebrations. Auto stocks have been in the fast lane for the last few months amid easing supply chain issues and an improvement in overall consumer sentiment. So as the festive season kicks off, how should you play this theme to rake in most gains? Harshita Singh finds out in this report.
Car inventory levels are at all-time highs, but the auto industry is betting on bumper festive sales while doling out large discounts to ease the inventory buildup. After a 20% yearly jump in retail sales last month, dealers' body FADA expects a robust festive season for car makers on phasing out of monsoon worries. Stocks too have run up in anticipation of strong festive sales amid easing commodity costs. The Nifty Auto Index is up 32% in the first 2 quarters of FY24 as against a 13% rise in the Nifty benchmark. Among stocks, Tata Motors, TVS Motors, M&M and Maruti have led the rally with up to 50% upswing. Analysts suggest investors look at companies dominant in the premium sports utility vehicle or SUV segment within passenger vehicles given the consistent demand for these cars. Notably, Maruti has overtaken the SUV segment with around 22% market share, followed by M&M at 21%, Hyundai at 18.6% and Tata Motors at 17% as of September quarter.
If you see the SUV's market share among the entire pie of automobile sales was around 43% back in September 2022. Now come to September 2023, it has increased to 53%, which is a drastic increase. And one of the biggest reasons that automobile stocks have been rising, especially leading up to the Diwali and the festive season, is because their margins are expected to increase given by how much the raw material prices, whether it's aluminum, steel, etc., have fallen. And some of the commodities even have corrected by around 40 to 50%.
Two-wheelers, meanwhile, are staging a recovery as per FADA, which said the segment's retail sales crossed the pre-COVID levels in September. Analysts at Motilal Oswal also see a gradual rebound but expect a 2% and 4% year-on-year drop in two-wheeler and tractor volumes for Q2 on erratic monsoons and weak rural sentiment.
dealers are expecting to clock double-digit growth in the PV retails on better demand this year and with easing of supply side issues. Just behind the PVs, two-wheeler retails are also expected to pick up in the festive season. For commercial vehicles, we expect good momentum for CV sales to continue for second half of this fiscal. As far as impact of rural demand on two-wheelers, we see continued weakness for the entry-level two-wheeler retails as rural recovery is still not broad-based. On stock selection for this festive season, we recommend investors to stay invested in two-wheeler stocks such as TVS, Bajaj Auto.
While passenger and commercial vehicles along with two-wheelers are eyeing to rake in most gains from the festive season, tractor demand is seen remaining tepid. Thus, a stock-selective approach across a pack is advisable. Today, on October 19th, markets will react to Q2 earnings of Wipro, Bajaj Auto and IndusInd Bank, among others.
He's making plans for an early retirement. Business Standard.
Mutual fund managers too are banking on auto stocks for better returns. Moving on, the Supreme Court on 17th of October declined to legalize same-sex unions. The top court refused to grant constitutional protection to civil unions and adoption rights for queer couples. But what is civil union and how do they differ from marriage? Abhijit Kumar decodes.
A civil union or civil partnership is a legally recognized partnership between two individuals, usually of the same sex, offering them the legal and financial benefits of marriage without the full social, cultural, or religious obligations that often accompany traditional marriage. The main objective of a civil union is to provide legal recognition and protection to the couple. This recognition includes inheritance rights, healthcare decisions, property ownership, as well as financial matters. It is akin to the spousal privilege outlined in Section 122 of the Indian Evidence Act. The specific rights and benefits granted by a civil union vary depending on the country or state where it is established. Civil unions are secular and do not involve religious ceremonies or rituals. This makes them an attractive option for individuals with different religious backgrounds or those who prefer a non-religious union. In 2015, the United States Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriages across the nation. The decision marked a significant milestone for LGBTQ+ rights in the United States. Prior to the 2015 ruling, a majority of the US states had civil union laws that allowed same-sex couples to marry but without a formal recognition of the same. Back home, India recognizes marriage as a legally sanctioned union between a man and a woman under the Special Marriage Act, the Hindu Marriage Act, and other personal laws governing different religious communities. There is no provision for civil unions. With the Supreme Court striking down the same-sex marriage and civil union demands, the legal status of same-sex couples in India remains uncertain.
I'm backed by the nation's trusted bank, SBI, the banker to every Indian.
Experts meanwhile say that the Juvenile Justice Act 2015 permits a single person to adopt a child. It also offered a way out for same-sex couples who want to adopt. They can adopt children by designating one of the partners as the legal parent. Well, that's all we have for you today. For more news and analysis, please log on to business-standard.com. Thank you for watching.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.